Yeah, if he was joining, that would be a different story. I would totally
Would it
do it.
actually? Would it actually be Mitch holding up again? Freaking funny. I know he's ready
I
for the
see.
game.
That's why I'm letting him touch that one. I refuse to touch it.
Yeah, I
Whoops.
can't do it. Yeah.
I personally can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it because I don't think I don't think it's worth my time. I've got a list of shit to fucking play. Okay. Okay. Now anybody else that wants to play it, hey, go ahead, be my guest. But me? Nah, I'm good. Oh shit. Oh.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably get to it eventually. I just don't see when. By the time I'll probably have a chance, Super Mario Wonder will already be out. Watch.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's coming out too. Fuck. Totally forgot about that shit. Already, that's bad. It's coming out very soon.
Yeah, I know. This month. Same day, actually.
Same day as Spider-Man? Oh fuck. This is gonna be Kanye and 50 Cent all over again.
Kanye 50 Cent. God damn it.
Hell yeah, it's Kanye and 50 Cent all over again. You remember how that shit show went?
Well, it needs to be sooner.
Hmm.
Oh, oh.
Um.
Who's ready for these shoes?
Whoopsies. All right, there we go. Oh fuck, you know something? Totally forgot about Kick too. Oh well. Oh well.
Krakatoa.
Krakatoa. So I mean, this is kind of random. So I mean, it's all depending on how you want to start this off, I guess. Because yeah. There's a lot fucking going on.
There's a lot going on. I guess we'll start by saying hi. My name is Don Janzo. Welcome to my Lives of P Street. No, I'm just
Yeah, I know, right?
kidding. I know.
This is my YouTube personality.
Oh, is that what we're doing? Oh no.
Oh yes. I'm taking it there.
Okay, you want to start? You want to start with Young Keith?
I got Spider-Man 2 pulled up. I got his Twitter pulled up. I've got his channel pulled up. Like there's so much to fucking that I could easily unpack right now.
Let's go. It's already there.
All right. So what part do you want to begin with? Because there's so much to talk about with that. Actually, there's really not that much to talk about besides the fact that it just seems like he's like really, really tone deaf. I know you said before you don't think he's that tone deaf, but it's so fucking confusing because we like Mighty Keith over here.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for Keith. Like actually, just his grind and everything about him, right? But I have a concern that not just Keith, but like the current, I want to say, ecosystem of content creators is getting sucked into this absolute, I mean, console war at this point, right? Because if you watch Keith, you know, throughout his years, he's had a pretty decent, I don't want to say neutrality, because he's definitely been a Sony like person, but he's done it in good jest, in good taste. But now it really seems like he has not been able to be objective at all. Any shape or form. I don't know what's going on. This is really weird, actually. I've never seen him like this. Like, I've never seen him like this. Saying the whole he doesn't see any toxicity in the Sony sign, but he's literally making fun of it in his videos. It is, dude, you're literally doing it in your videos. You are the toxicity in your video. I don't understand.
And
He's not actually being incendiary.
in a friendly way, he's being.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's friendly. It's not like it's like really bad. Like he's like openly shitting on somebody. But you definitely know, like, if you're one of those like content creators, it's probably touched you on either side in the wrong way. I actually have his Twitter pulled up right now. And it's quite amusing right now. So he has reposted something of Spider-Man 2 as Game of the Year, which we are going to we're probably gonna fucking tackle that shit too. But
I didn't realize it was Game of the Year. We didn't even play it yet.
Yeah, no, it's already there, right? So I mean his is like it's finna bust, but you know, let's see. He has some people saying that Spider-Man 2 playtime is short because it's about the same length as Chex Notes, every other game in its genre. I would honestly argue that Spider-Mans are too long, if I have to be real. Not story wise, of course. It's a perfect length story wise. It's those damn side quests. Those fucking side quests get on my nerves. Something fierce. I swear they do. Let's see what else we got. This is the one that got us really we're getting to this stuff that got us really questioning about things as a whole, right? Oh, where's it at? I could have swore, was that it right there?
It was the map. Yeah, one of the map was one of them.
All right, so this is a picture. This is a screenshot right here. It says, "Don't trust anyone's opinion on gaming if they criticize the sequel for reusing assets." Now, Slow-Mo, who posted an original post to this, says RIP to "It's the same map" narrative. So people were arguing on this one that he was, what was it, that if he was actually agreeing with the post. I get why you would think he's not. He actually is, because if you look at it, the statement that's made is in quotations, and he's basically saying that, look, don't criticize a game for using the same assets, which is basically what Slow-Mo is saying. To which somebody says, what do they say? Slow-Mo said, with your reading comprehension skills, no wonder you only see crazy shit from Xbox loyalists. And to which he said, "Bro, I was agreeing with you in that post. Are you dumb?" So in your eyes, where did you see him disagreeing?
So the entire thing just reads really weird, right? If you look at Slow-Mo's original thing, and where he says, the rest in peace narratives or whatever, I could see why someone would be confused. Just because, like, he's not. Keith is doing this weird thing, right? where it kind of feels like he's hedging his bets, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Right. Where he's not really explaining his stance on anything whatsoever. He says, I'm agreeing with you. Okay, well, tell me how you're agreeing. You're making a satirical comment, but instead of doing that, which I know Keith is known for his satirical comments, but he's been hitting it left and right now by a lot of people. Now is the time for you to actually stand on your own 2 feet and be like, hey, this is my stance. This is why I'm excited about this. This is why I feel this way. He's just not doing that. He's not explaining anything about anything, to be honest. Why does he feel this way? All right, why is he saying, oh, I was agreeing with you? Explain how you're agreeing. Instead of just putting down someone on Twitter, being like, are you dumb? Instead, take out the are you dumb and be like, I was agreeing with you because this is why. So maybe slow your roll before you post something against me in that tone. It's a completely different statement, right? But instead, it feels like he's so invested. Like, what this tells me right here is that Keith is so invested in Spider-Man 2, which, by the way, is never going to win Game of the Year. Just telling you.
Oh, we're going to get into that one too, trust me.
That he can't see objectively here. He can't see clearly at all whatsoever. And if you listen to him talk about the game, you already know that. But he's talking about a game that he's never played 1 minute, unless he knows something we don't, right? He's never played the game for 1 minute. He's only seen 2 trailers. But he said that Cyberpunk is his second favorite game and Baldur's Gate is his first favorite game of the year. But he thinks that this game is going to be a 9. But he's never played it.
Oh, that wasn't the guy. He's not the one that said it was a 9. It was some other dude that I can't fucking stand that guy.
He did say he thinks it's going to be a 9.
Oh, Oh, okay. I get you. Oh, okay. Yeah. I must have missed that part of the video.
It was in the beginning of the video. He was talking about the game, and he's basically, I don't want to say stilling, but not a whole better word for it, right? He's pretty much going on gushing about it, and he thinks it's going to be the second coming, basically. It's going to be a super great game, and it's going to take over everything. And he expects it to be an 85 on Metacritic, and he thinks it's going to be 8 or a 9.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he wasn't guaranteeing. I'm just saying he thinks. I don't know, man.
I think he's just really
like he's.
In his defense, in his defense on that video, I think he's just being really. I think he's just really excited for Spider-Man. I mean, he said it himself. He's going in blind. He hasn't watched anything on it. He's just looking forward to the story and looking forward to he said what he was looking forward to, right? But that's where we had the conversation of where is your stance on gaming as a whole? And he made that clear. He made that clear in his tweets where he said, listen, I like everything. I just prefer things on PlayStation. And it makes sense. So it's not like he's fanboying or anything like that, because it makes sense for anybody to like whatever it is that they like. It's just when you start doing this right here, talking the way that you're talking. I mean, he's been going at it with everybody. I mean, this post is a retweet from him with the caption, I opened up a Pandora's box of just extremely radical fans that just want to argue for no reason. For example, this guy thought I was calling him out, but didn't even realize I was agreeing with his comment. You can't make this shit up. So this actually is perfect for why we're so confused, right? Because he's been arguing with who? Fratanga, I think his name is. Is that?
Yeah, Fratanga plays.
So he's been arguing with Fratanga back and forth for the last 2 weeks, and it's gotten to the point where Keith made a comment about where are the PlayStation people like this? Because it only seems like I'm seeing Xbox heads like this, right? To which Fratanga replies in so many words. They're there. Yeah, I think I don't know what he said to his effect. You might remember, right?
Well, so for Tenga, actually, I didn't link it in the chat, but he actually did some pretty sneaky devious. He actually takes a clip from Keith's video where Keith actually makes fun of I forgot which game. Oh, it was a demo for a game, and Keith makes fun of the fact that the demo of the game is exclusive to PlayStation only.
Oh
With this
wow.
video, Ortega like really sneaky devious of kind of like, and it's linked to that actual thread that you're talking about. It was actually pretty hilarious.
So he actually sneaked it. Like, did Keith catch it?
I mean, it was I don't know to be honest, but the thing about it is like so he's making an argument that he doesn't see it, but Keith is actively a part of it. You know, like, and there are a bunch of Keith's fans that are actually trying to take Fratanga apart, saying that like, hey, he's he's doing it out of a joke or whatever. Fratanga like he's literally weaponizing the console war as the joke content for his channel. Like, what are you talking about? How can he not see it? He follows Dreamcast guy for Christ's sake. Like,
And that's
he literally puts it in his videos. How is he not seeing it?
and that's kind of where I'm just like, oh my goodness, how is it that you can call somebody a person that doesn't throw salt on people when he makes fun of them like constantly, right? That's why I said like earlier, like he could have two personas. He should do a video on two personas, his YouTube persona and his Twitter persona, because these two right here are worlds different. I follow him on Instagram too. Like his Instagram is pretty basic. It's just him living everyday life and everything. So there's a third persona right there, right? So Twitter is for this kind of talk, YouTube is for making the videos that he does there, and then Instagram is like personal. So he could just do like a video on himself. He is a video for all intents and purposes.
Good. He technically he does, right? Like that's what he does. He has a bunch of personas on his videos that he, like makes with. So what would be the difference?
Yeah, I don't know. There's just I really think that since this year has like been like really game heavy, I think people are losing their fucking minds. I think it's easy for people to just kind of blindly I think there's a few things that happen. For one, like people don't know what to do with themselves, obviously, because we haven't seen this kind of year. We haven't seen this kind of year for releases in like over a decade, right? So ultimately, you're going to be used to the live service games. You're going to be used to open worlds. You're going to be used to not seeing as many titles from maybe your favorite platform, unless you're like Nintendo or PC. I think it's easy to forget what kind of year this is. Second, I think it's easy to forget everything that came out, right? Like if you watch his latest video, he's right. It has been a game heavy year. So in his defense, I could see how he missed games, but then here's a contradiction. How the fuck did you miss games?
Well, so I kind of want to put back on his video a little bit of the games video. So he does make a video, right? And the title of the thumbnail of the video was, basically, it's basically saying we've had a lot of games this year. He starts his video 6 minutes basically of just Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2 this, Spider-Man 2 that, Spider-Man 2 this, Spider-Man 2 that. And then he goes into Cyberpunk. One game that isn't out. One game that's been out for 3 years and like needed to get saved from the depths of Hades. Right.
Oh yeah. That's an understatement.
He doesn't mention Armored Core 6. He doesn't explain anything about why Baldur's Gate is the game of the year. Like, he's talking about Baldur's Gate is my favorite game. Why? Tell me details, my guy. Tell me why. It's not hard.
Did
Give me a story.
Did you
You know, like
watch?
getting double stole.
Did you watch his Baldur's Gate video?
I did, and it was
Do
super funny.
do you think that explains anything at all? Just from you
Yep.
that's played
0.
it. 0?
Yeah.
Because you played it, okay? I've only played tabletop D&D. That's it. I'm not touching a Baldur's Gate. Me personally, like, it's not that it's probably not good. It's just for me, I can't touch a game that has been passed around more times than a Saturday night hooker. So I'm really good on that. And not only that, but as much time as I've heard that everybody takes just in the character creation, like, man, I'm trying to get to the game, man. I'm trying to experience some things. So that's me personally. But is in that video, do you think there was like anything that he could have did better to explain?
So he makes the video from a point of view of somebody who's played it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, when I originally watched the video, I hadn't played Baldur's Gate yet, so it makes sense to me. I watched it again today, and I was like, okay, some of those things make sense. But the problem is that he's making the video from a point of view of if you've already played it. He's not really sharing his experiences and the joy of the game with people who have no idea about it at all. So for someone like you've played D&D, so you kind of get it, but you never played Baldur's Gate. So when he starts going into what a barbarian can do, and he's like, and then I can use my fighter and use action surge and do this, you get it because you had to look it up. But if you didn't do any research, you wouldn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Yeah.
The joke completely misses you. It completely misses you completely. You have no idea. And that's why I'm saying, like, all over, not just his timeline, but a lot of people's timeline, they're like, Baldur's Gate is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But nobody is explaining why.
All right, hold on, because
really
I got it pulled up right now. We can go over parts of we can go over more in detail what you think is just wrong or what you think is right.
I am Mighty Keith.
All right, Baldur's Gate 3's installed. Let's see what all the hype's about.
Be honest with me. Did you help the tieflings?
Hide clothes option.
Tieflings, what the fuck is that?
Okay, yeah. It says stop. You already stop right there. Nobody knows. If you don't play D&D, you don't know what a tiefling is, like, at all or whatsoever. Deanna literally asked me last night, "What is a tiefling?" She looked on the screen. I was like, "What is that?" It's a tiefling. You didn't know?
Well, here's the funny part. Even playing D&D, like, tieflings never came up in a campaign for me.
Also, you won't know. Chances are you're not gonna know what a Githyanki is, because Githyanki are newer in D&D.
Yeah, because they're going off of the more modern edition, aren't
They're
they?
using 5e rules.
Yeah. So 5e
Races and stuff.
5e came out when, I think,
About a year ago, maybe 2. I actually don't remember.
5e. I thought 5e came out a few years ago because I remember running a campaign on that. But anyway, yes. So nobody's gonna get what a tiefling is if you've never played this. Let's see.
What does that do? Hide it during dialogue or hide it during... Oh, hide it completely.
I'm telling you, bro. This game is going to be game of the year.
Finally.
And he makes a joke about this game being the game of the year right here.
Yeah. Already.
Already he's making the joke, right?
Finished with the character creation.
And it only took me 5 hours. Bro, I promise.
How long did it take you to make a character?
So I actually skipped all that and just chose an origin character because I would have been probably spending some time. I mean, I would take a whole lot of time creating characters, but I mean, I would have definitely spent some time doing it. So I just chose a preset character that was already there.
Oh, okay. You didn't spend like hours upon.
He doesn't explain that. All right, like nobody explains that. You don't need to create a character. The game gives you characters that have their own story that exist in Baldur's Gate that have been in the other games that you can choose. No muss, no fuss.
So that kind of changes things a little bit for me, right? Because I don't want to spend all that time making a character. Like I said,
Yeah,
just
you don't need to do that.
just shoot me to the game. Like, and see, I'm glad you said that because I never would have known that. Like everybody, like even that long drawn out ass review that the dude from IGN did, like like I said, no, I think actually he might have said something about it.
You
I'm
might
not.
have said them, but nobody. No, it's the way they say these things, right?
Yeah, like
All I need to say is, if you're not into creating characters, there is a roster of already pre-made characters that are in the universe of Baldur's Gate that have their own fleshed out stories
well
that you can
then
choose from.
well then it's not even just how they say it; it's the placement of when they say it too, right? Like because he could have slipped that into like a really important aspect of the game.
Yeah, because those characters, if you create a character, right, those characters that were your origin characters, they become your companions. So you can choose any of them that you come across, and they'll help you out. They'll be your party of four. So they still play an active role in your story. It's not just if you create your own character, that's it, right? Like those guys join your party either by you selecting it or you just run into them and then you select them that way.
And see, like, and I think that's why, like, another reason why I stay away from Baldur's Gate because, like, the experience of creating a character is more fun in D&D for me. Like, it's not just the rolling for your stats or picking your class and your subclass, your race and everything. Like it's actually like writing out the story so that the campaign it's actually cohesive to whatever the dungeon master is about to create on the whatever journey he creates, right? It doesn't seem like this game does that. I can't speak on it too much. I'm just saying what it looks like.
I can give you basically what it's going to do. So you don't roll, like let's say you're going to base create a character. You're going to like pick your race, like all the stuff that you would have done originally.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to roll any initiative. Like you're not going to roll for any stats. You get to choose whatever stats you want. So if you're trying to make like a specific build, right? You can literally just choose whatever stat. You don't have to roll for anything. And there's no limit on multi-classing. So you can multi-class into whatever class. You don't need to meet a requirement. Like in D&D. In D&D, you need to meet certain requirements in order to multi-class. Your charisma needs to be a certain, thing or whatever. But in this game, you just gotta do it. So
I like really... I like that video you sent too, by the way, like where what a DM would look like in real life doing Baldur's Gate, which is pretty fucking accurate, I'd say. When you have no limits in an actual D&D game would be complete chaos, and you wouldn't even have a chance to enjoy the campaign, really.
There's no limits when it comes to creation. Now, so they offset that by nerfing a few spells, right? Like Fireball. Definitely nerfed. Fireball's powerful, but they shrunk the range, right? And then control mages, they made it so that they reduced the time. So instead of like 10 turns, now it's like 2 turns because they're too powerful in those builds. But then they also like added cool stuff like Misty Step is way more useful because the verticality of the stages that the game presents allows you to go up and down as well as around the field, which you can't do in D&D that well. So it's actually pretty cool. And then like short rests are so much better.
I think he brings up resting in this too, right? Like let's keep going on this video. Let's see.
Yeah, let's
playthrough. I'm gonna just let Auntie Ethel do her thing because that little girl was so ungrateful. Think of Divinity Original Sin 2 meets Dungeons and Dragons.
True or false?
I would actually say this is okay. So this is pretty true for the most part. But here's the problem I have with this. I'm glad that he mentioned Divinity Original Sin 2. If you're going to put Divinity Original Sin 2, you need to either make a video about why you should play Divinity Original Sin, or just straight mention what the hell Divinity Original Sin is. Because that game got overlooked. Nobody knows what the hell Divinity Original Sin even is. You only know, like, because I mentioned it pretty much, right? So the statement's pretty true, right? It's basically Divinity Original Sin meets Dungeons and Dragons, and they actually nerfed Divinity Original Sin for this to meet that requirement. Divinity Original Sin, I would actually say, is mechanically more complicated than Baldur's Gate.
Divinity Original Sin was one of those games I definitely passed over, like, for sure.
And like, that makes sense. Like, it didn't really get a whole lot of hype. Really good game. Not a lot of people talked about it till it was too late. I found out about it at PAX. It just didn't have a whole lot of buzz. But it's a super great game. If you like Baldur's Gate, you're gonna love Divinity Original Sin. Just know that, like, the way that you react to the world, for the most part, is the same. But the way that combat flows is definitely different. Because combat in Divinity Original Sin 2 is all about painting elemental and using the environment against the enemies, whereas Baldur's Gate is a little more straightforward, but it has those options. It just doesn't have the amount of options that you can use elemental and the environment as Divinity Original Sin does.
Okay, so let's go ahead.
4 turns to beat each goblin leader. Me too.
That's about where he's trolling. That's about where somebody would try and show off somebody else. So, like, I'm not even going to bother with that.
If I roll a 10, I can convince this guy to give me a legendary weapon. You didn't use.
True? False? I mean, that sounds about right for, like, a D&D campaign. Like, if you have, like...
This is actually something that's actually driving a lot of D&D players a little crazy about this game. So, they actually did a thing, right? In D&D, if you fail a roll, if you roll a 1, you get a critical failure.
Mm-hmm.
Your things are still added, right? So your perception, all your checks are still added on, and you can still pass that roll depending on all your bonuses. In Baldur's Gate, if you roll and you make a critical failure, you cannot. It does not matter.
Oh, that sucks.
No matter what. Yeah. But on the other hand, if you roll a 20, you pass no matter what, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, that D&D, yeah, the critical failures are more common than not than you would ever think, right? Like, especially depending on what your stats actually are. Your stats actually play a very huge role. And sometimes, like, if your stats are if you have really good stats in charisma or whatever, you could add on extra dice to add to your roll, right? Like, so you mean to tell me in this one there's no consequence?
No, so the consequence is actually steeper, is what I'm saying.
Oh.
Like, let's say you're a bard, right? You have a charisma check, you're a bard. You know that your charisma is already going to be bumped up. So let's say let's say the requirement is super low. You only need to roll a 5 to pass. In D&D, chances are you're going to have enough charisma if you roll a 1 to pass anyway. However, in Baldur's Gate, it will not matter what your bonuses are. If you roll a 1, you will fail that check anyway.
I would argue on the actual tabletop, depending on that is all depending on where the campaign, where the dungeon master is taking you. Because sometimes you could get taken through some bullshit ass campaigns where you, like, one dice could save you, or your charisma points could save you from like, and it only takes 1 point. But if you have like and that's if you have like a really bad dungeon master that just wants to ruin everybody's day, right? I would say that is depending on the dungeon master.
For sure, it definitely depends on the dungeon master. But some people do have characters that can pass text without having to roll anything higher than a 1 in D&D, and they don't get, it's not an automatic fail if they roll, a critical failure. Or in Baldur's Gate, no matter what, if you roll a 1, you will critically fail. Like
That
that's how
sucks.
it goes in that game.
There's not even a
mean,
redemption for that. Like that,
Yeah,
you just fucked.
Unless you use inspiration, there's nothing you can do about it. Now, some people have argued that, like in real life, obviously you can't pass everything, even if you're really good at it. It's a video game, like so. If whatever side of the fence you really sit on that is whatever side you sit on. It doesn't bother me too much, but I totally get why it would. Because if you have the bonuses, you should be able to pass it. I totally get it. But that's one of the decisions they made where they were just like, yeah, we're going to take a hard stance on this. And they're sticking to their guns.
So is this like how they counteract the steroid play that you have, like the extra strength?
A little bit, right? Like, because if you're thinking about it, right, if you have all the multi-classes, so when you multi-class, you still get those for the skill feats, right? So you still get certain proficiencies, and you get bonuses to those proficiencies. So if you multi-class and you get multiple bonuses in your proficiencies, it could be easier to just have a character that could pass all the checks, right? So this might be one of their ways to be like, okay, we're going to let you multi-class however you want, but we're going to take away all those bonuses when it comes to critical successes and fails, because it would just be too unfair by that point. Now, if you roll anything higher than a 1, then all those bonuses get added up, but you just can't roll a 1. It's considered a failure no matter what.
That sucks. That fucking sucks. So let's do this. You stop me whenever you hear something inaccurate.
Okay, I can do that.
Use any of the illithid powers? Why not? This should be easy. I got guidance, +3 proficiency, and +3 charisma.
This is exactly what we're talking about right here.
Oh, this critical failure? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking
I
about.
see, and because I never played it, I would have never got that at all.
Yeah. So like a D&D player would hear that and be like, how is that possible? Right? Like, what do they do? There's no explanation from his side.
Well,
you have to play it to actually know.
Well, for me, like in D&D, I understand what my chances are. In this, I don't understand what my chances are, right? Because it's a game rolling the dice for you. Like you're clicking to roll the dice, but obviously the game is rolling that for you. And so for me, like I don't know the implications of a critical failure in this game, or that it's more so like what the consequences are for the quitter. I fucking did a redundancy. I'm sorry. It wouldn't have made sense to me, because in a critical failure in a regular campaign, like there were times where I at least got a chance to roll again, or
you use your inspiration.
Yeah. So
you can do that. You can use your inspiration if you crit fail a roll.
Don't even play Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. You can go straight to 3. But then you can go back to 1 and 2 if you want.
Okay, fine line.
There's a funny. Did you know that Baldur's Gate 2 was actually a BioWare game, and a really good one?
Yes, I did know that. I knew it was a BioWare game. I think Activision had them at one point, and then they moved on to like 50 billion other different developers in DLC content.
Also, they were action RPGs, not top-down CRPGs.
Yeah.
So, but still a very good game. So.
Put these barrels just right. I'm a god. I'm in the gauntlet of Char, right? We get to this devil guy, all right? He has minions everywhere. He has like this little Black Panther familiar. You know, he's like 4 levels higher than me. He's got crossbows, he can turn invisible. He's a monster. I'm telling you, that entire battle took so long. I had to be so strategic. I had to take out his minions, take out the Black Panther, take him out so strategically. It was grueling. What do you mean you just convinced him to kill himself and all of his minions? You can do that? Okay.
Can you do that?
Yes, you can do that. You can absolutely do that. You can do a lot more than that, actually. There are many times where you can talk someone out of something. You can actually convince them to kill themselves. You can charm them and like fool them to be part of your team for a limited amount of time. The game will let you kind of fool around, or you can do. There's a spell called Disguise Self. And you can actually commit crimes and try to convince people to do shit as someone else and then turn back. Because the thing is, let's say you use a charm spell on somebody. When it wears off, they're going to know that you did it. But if you disguise yourself and then charm yourself or charm them and then undisguise, they'll have no idea who the fuck just did that to them. And it's fucking hilarious.
Wow. It sounds, you know what?
You can do that.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like D&D with training wheels. That's what it sounds like.
It is. It is and it isn't. Right? It definitely has D&D training wheel moments, and then there's just like moments that I kind of wish were part of D&D instead. Right? Like, for instance, the spell Create or Destroy Water. In D&D, if you use Create Water and you get a creature wet, unless your dungeon master says otherwise, that has no strategical advantage for you. In Baldur's Gate, if you do that, they're now weak to lightning and frost damage.
What?
Which is awesome, because it makes sense, right? Like, it makes perfect sense why that would happen. Now, obviously, your DM could make it so that they're weak to that, but, you know, it depends on your DM.
Yeah, more than likely, you're going to get an asshole DM.
Yeah, that does happen.
Okay, so this is why it sounds like it's D&D on training wheels, right? Because in D&D, when you have like class and subclass, you have to manage. You not only roll stats for that, but you're rolling. If I remember correctly, you're rolling stats for your subclass as well.
Yeah.
To which case, if you have like an encounter, like there are things that your main class may not be able to get you out of, but your subclass could. There's not too many times that I've played D&D where I was able to talk myself out of a fight, especially not with certain storylines that I've written, because sometimes that's also depending on the people that you're playing with characters as well, right? Like this one just seems to hand you the story, right? So when I hear, well, this game there's no limitations to this game. Like I already hear at least 3 or 4 limitations already. For one, you don't get your main limitation is that you don't get the actual feel that you would get in a D&D campaign of an actual story of your own actual creation. It's just more so they're basically handing you generic stories, and then you go out and then you can make all these different choices to get out of whatever it is with the character that you created, but not actually being able to imagine your own story unless like you're creating fan fiction around this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like if you're to create your own like fan fiction. No, that part makes sense. I get what you're saying. Though to be fair, the story is really good. But no, it's the story that obviously Larian created. Almost depends on your DM though, right? A lot of DMs don't let you kind of, you know how you're talking about you can't talk your way out of a certain fight. A lot of DMs won't let you talk yourself out of a fight.
Oh hell no, because
Like,
their job as a DM is to make your life a living hell. And so as soon as you encounter roles, and the minute the DM picks up dice, expect their DM to pick up at least 10 of them motherfuckers. Because half of the monsters in the manual require that, and then sometimes depending on the monster that you're fighting, it may require him to may require the DM to roll like an extra 5, but sometimes it's 20. Like it just really depends, like, and it's just like holy shit, and he's rolling like 20 dice to your like 5 or 6 that you're trying to roll to get just to get damage done, and then rolling to even be able to get out of range of certain attacks and shit like that. Like there are so many things. Like I kind of feel like this game just kind of misses with the comparison of a D&D campaign.
So like obviously it can't give you like a D&D evolving experience because it has to follow a certain story progression at some point. But what it does really good is take the asshole DM out of the equation. The game is like, all right, you think you could do that with that? Sure, go for it, right? Whereas like a DM, and if you're a DM out there and you're listening, let your players have fucking fun. Seriously, it's okay. I understand being a DM is a lot of work. I get it. But like, let your players feel like badasses every once in a while. It's okay for your players to talk themselves out of an encounter that you built up for. Take that encounter and reskin it to the next encounter. I promise you, your players will love you a lot more if you just cut them some slack. All right, like the game has to be about them, and like Larian kind of makes you feel like that. Like obviously, there are certain things that you're never going to be able to do, or like you can't literally make a completely evolving story because, I mean, someone has to make the story, right?
Yeah.
But like the one thing. Oh, hey Wolf, how's it going? I actually just saw the rolling for stats thing. I was gonna mention it. So you don't roll for stats. You can respec into a class at any time. Anytime you have 100 gold, you go to your camps. You can respec all your stats. You choose all your stats. You choose your class. You multi-class. You do whatever you want, right? And there's definitely D&D for, if you want to say D&D for training milk, that's definitely it. You can't do that in D&D, dude. You can literally, a lot of it is luck based.
Oh no, you can do it in D&D. You know when you can do it? After your character dies and the campaign is up.
Oh, I mean, you can't take stats though, is what I'm saying. Right? Like in Baldur's Gate, you literally pick all your stats. You don't gotta roll for any stats.
Well, they have they do have D&D with training wheels in real life too. They have pre-created characters for you.
Yeah, they definitely do.
And I mean, you can roll with that. I mean, I think it's a really good way to teach you how to play D&D, but with this game it'll give you an idea of what D&D is like, but it is leagues from what you will be expecting if you were to actually play a campaign. That's why like that video you sent was actually pretty funny to me, because I remember so many times, like when I ran one of the last campaigns I ran a few years back, where they took us directly into my storyline, which is filled with dark elves and all that. Like dark elves, for one, are ultimately, I believe, evil and very powerful for the area that we were in. And I lost fingers. We had to plan escape routes just to get to the top to get away from my storyline, because they just put us in so fucking early. Like we weren't even ready for that type of story. Like we needed to at least level up a few times before we even touched down. So like when we play stories like Baldur's Gate, if I were to play Baldur's Gate, I would probably be heavily critical of it.
I'm sure you would definitely have fun, but you definitely be like, man, I just wish, this just reminds me of a D&D campaign. You probably would end your day wanting to play D&D, is basically, because that's what it does for me, right? Super fun. I love the game, but at the end of the day, I kind of just wish I was also playing a D&D campaign.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
But like I said, like for the player that wants to get into D&D, like It's not the same. It's only the same on the surface level. It is nowhere near the fucking actual game of D&D itself.
Yeah, I understand that Larian took some things away and they added some things. And some of the things they took away are great. Some of the things they took away aren't great. And some of the things they added are super awesome. And some of them are questionable. But that's okay. Because they all work really well in the game. Right?
Yeah. So let's keep going. I want to see what else you got to say on this one.
So my Karlach is our barbarian, and if I use reckless attack, that gives me advantage on attack rolls. And she gets an extra attack, but I'm multi-classing with a fighter. So that means I get access to action surge, meaning I get to do another attack, and then another extra attack. But I also have, think about it,
Hold on, because we talked about this earlier too, about this monk and this monk class getting 8 attacks. Did we figure anything out about that? Because in an actual D&D game, you would never be able to do that.
Not quite. Not in the level that he's doing right here. All right, so it kind of explains what's happening here. In Baldur's Gate, you do not need, like I said before, you don't need to meet any kind of requirement to be a certain class. You can change your number. You should change your number to meet a certain class, right? To get the things you need out of it. But you don't need to. But when obviously he probably can't explain this in the video. In order to do what he's doing, you actually need to choose fighter as your first class because you can't get action surge if you don't choose fighter 1. So you need to start as fighter 1 and then you multi-class into what you're doing, right? So for instance, say you want a main barbarian, but you need action surge. You can actually respec your character, choose fighter first, you get action surge, then you multi-class into barbarian. And because if you do it the other way around, it won't work. You have to specifically start as fighter for certain feats and like special abilities. You need to start as certain things. Otherwise, it just won't work at all.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Me, the boys, multiplayer. All right, who did you wife up? Critical success. I'm amazing at this game.
Multiplayer in that game, absolutely.
Oh, that's right. You were talking about wanting to play with anybody who was going to get the game, right?
More people just need to play multiplayer on that game. I think. And so I've seen it. Yeah, we've seen some Let's Play. It's really good time. This is fun. It's fun stuff, man.
But Stu, are you really the only one in our group that actually has that game?
Yeah, so far.
Holy shit!
I'm having a good time with it. Like, I'm not like I'm sitting here like, man, I really wish I had someone to play with. I mean, it would be really cool, but like, the game is super great on its own. You don't have to have, but I mean, even better with a person to play with. Like, you can't go wrong.
Really? Isn't she like really mean? Oh, you're into that. Critical failure. God, I'm horrible at this game. Think of the romance options. You can have sex with anyone, even a devil or a bear. Why are you leaving? I turned Lizelle into a monk.
Oh, that's funny.
And now she just attacks infinitely. You can make any.
Wait, what? Hold up. I missed that part.
Just attacks infinitely.
I actually missed the infinite attacks thing too.
Devil or a bear? Why are you leaving? I turned Lizelle into a monk, and then she's multi-classing with thief, and now she just attacks infinitely. You can make any class.
So,
I don't know how he's doing that actually. With thief, there's no way he's doing it as just fighter thief. Monk thief.
Wait, hold up,
fighter.
Hold up. Because I got a question now. I have a really important question now. Is there like evil, good, chaotic, neutral shit like that in this game?
There is, but it doesn't really. It goes with a common sense system. It's not gonna literally say that your character is chaotic evil, right, or lawful neutral or whatever. But there are certain, if like you're a paladin, you do need to follow your oath, or you'll become an oath or your paladin. But that doesn't really have much to do with that. The game does have a good and evil system, but it's not gonna hold your hand and be like, you are chaotic evil or whatever. Like it kind of goes by the common sense. Like if you do bad shit, you're going to be a bad person.
Because in D&D, in the world of D&D, that also depends on what happens in your campaign too, right?
Yeah.
Like those also. That also so it's not necessarily a handholder as much as like what you are in your group can really affect you, and that's where like moments where like you and your group would actually have to talk with each other, and like for certain encounters, like say something required somebody to be really honorable or something, then you want to turn to the person that is like the most good in your group. Because
which you can do,
which is
the cities, like, so the people around you, there's a reputation system, like, so they recognize if you're a good person, evil person, whatever. The only thing that's just not there is that there's no specific title, at least none that I've seen, that says like you are neutral or chaotic good or chaotic evil or lawful good, like there's nothing like that. But like cities and people just in general will recognize like by sight like your reputation and things of that nature. But you do have to be careful if you don't want to be like an evil person, not to do a bunch of evil stuff. Like you have to disguise yourself and stuff like that. And if you don't want to like have a bunch of problems later, if you don't care, you can do whatever you want. Like you could literally kill anyone in the game you want to. There's not really, I mean, there's repercussions, but
I mean, in D&D, you can choose to go against some of your stuff too. But I mean, there's going to be like heavy consequences later on down in the campaign. But that's kind of what I wanted to get at too, is that like, it just seems like that's another thing. Like they don't actually talk about. And I kind of wish that they did, was whether or not you were chaotic good or neutral, because I think that would make this game actually, I think it would make this game a lot more interesting. With all the choices that you have to make. And I would argue that if they were to put in like some kind of a mechanic to where like some of the choices that you made actually went against what you are, that it would actually show the effects of that. Does that make sense?
Oh, right. Well, there is actually, like, certain characters will change. Certain party members will actually leave you completely if you go against like their morality system.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like certain characters will straight up be like, "You are not the person I thought you were," and they'll wait. You'll lose them forever, or they'll try to kill you. Right, you'll have to fight them. Stuff like that. Like, so there is like a ramification for your decisions and like what you're doing and stuff like that. I don't think it's as punishing as like D&D is though. Right, like it doesn't go that far, I don't think, but there's definitely ramifications for what you're doing in the world.
I think that's kind of what messes it, like, and I haven't made that hidden either. Like that's kind of what messes it up for me, right? Is that like it just seems like when you take the limitations off, like you forget what actual limitations you have, or it kind of takes away from the experience of an actual D&D. But on the opposite end of that too, it's obviously making some people actually want to jump into a campaign too, right?
It's never too late. Never too late to jump into a campaign.
Oh yeah, you just be prepared to learn a shit ton and be prepared to spend quite a bit of money.
Like if you're using Baldur's Gate as like the jumping point, like get used to how spells work and stuff like that. Get used to how the movement is. The movement is definitely different. Spells are pretty much the same for the most part. It's just your range is a little different and the turns for certain ones are a little different. Games do a really good job though of making D&D feel like it's a D&D game that could happen in a video game without like literally rolling for every single thing. It won't show you like the game never shows you your attack rolls. Like it automatically calculates your attack rolls when you do it. So you'll never see a dice go over your head for like making a roll to attack this creature, which I actually wish was the thing, but it's not.
As you want. No, I don't find the succubus that's tormenting Will attractive. You want?
Is she?
Why is he making this joke? God damn it! I don't know. I've only seen her once in the game. So, which is really weird because I'm like 30 hours into it. But like,
Holy shit, dude.
well, the thing
And
is,
you're-
like, so the patron, what he's, I guess spoilers, I suppose. The patron he's talking about is the Will's patron, right? And so like, yeah, you have to see her at least once in Act 1. But you don't have to like continually do these guys' stories if you don't want to, right? You can do whatever you want. So you may not see her again if you don't go that route, or you could do his whole thing and you'll see her alive. You may even kill her. You may even do something else. I won't spoil that. You know. Well, I don't know. Like,
I mean, there's so much that, like, this is another game that I think just shouldn't be reviewed, but we'll get into that one too.
the review is go play the game.
That's actually really evil and he summons zombies and cool necromancer stuff. You could do that. You want a cleric that throws water on the ground and shocks it with lightning and kills everything in the area while also healing you?
You can do that.
You could do that. Do you want just a plain old wizard who just does fire, ice, wind, electric damage, and earth?
There is
You
no
can do
such
that.
thing as a plain old wizard. Sorry, man. Like, wizard is the strongest class in the game. There's no such thing as a plain old wizard.
The wizard is the strong, so wizard is basically OP.
I mean, wizard's pretty straightforward, and it's always good. I mean, never go wrong with wizard, unless you have too many wizards in your game. Then you're going wrong.
There's got to be like 5,000 ways to tackle the situation, and I'm pretty sure I did it wrong every time. I'm
It
starting to have
feels like
dream.
that. It absolutely feels like that all the time in this game. I swear to you. You know, like I was talking to you about like how I completely messed up. I couldn't find a way to I couldn't find the explosive to get through the rock. And I just killed everyone in the freaking town. And then I left and I came back, and then the rock that I needed to get through, the guys had dug through it because I killed all their slave masters and the guy was dead. It felt like that was the wrong way to do that. But I mean, it worked.
It ended up working out for you anyway, so.
Yeah, it worked. So I wasn't gonna complain, but yeah, the game constantly feels like, damn it, maybe I shouldn't have did it that way. Like, which I don't think is a bad thing. It's just really funny how the game works out that way a lot of times, because you always in your brain you have it like you go in there thinking this is how I'm going to get through this or whatever, and it just does not. It just does not go the way you think you're going half the time. You get into pretty funny scenarios. I'll say that.
Dreams about dice rolling, and not to mention, all the storylines are godlike. Bro, what is this banging noise coming from the barn?
What?
Don't open the barn door.
Did you open the barn door?
I absolutely opened the barn door.
Do you want to spoil it or?
No, I'm gonna let everyone else see. I mean,
All
they've
right.
seen it, you've kind of seen it already. Just think of what could possibly be thumping on the other side of the barn door. You can figure it out. You'll be all right. Don't open it.
Don't open it.
Don't open it. You'll be fine. You'll save yourself a combat encounter, and you'll save your eyeballs.
Oh wow. Okay. So it's that bad, huh?
I mean, it's not actually. It's freaking hilarious, actually. In the point of the camp where you're at in the scenario, you may not have enough short rests to deal with that equation. So,
Oh wow.
and
So they put you on limited rests.
yeah, so they have the same rests as like D&D, right?
Mhm.
You get 2 short rests and a long rest. You can make a liberal use of your long rest, though. Like, you should never worry about, do I have enough supplies to take short rest or long rest? Just go for it. Like, every 2 encounters, the good rule of thumb, if you're doing BG3, every 1 to 2 encounters, you want a short rest, and then you want a long rest after every 3 to 4. So that way you have all your spells. And it depends on your party makeup too, right? Like a warlock only needs short rests to get his spells back, but also he only has like 2 spell slots till like the later levels. So take that into account, stuff like that.
Oh my god, I'm gonna rip out my eyes, my ears. Please.
I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. This game is making me want to pick up Dungeons and Dragons. What
Yeah,
about
we'll do
the
that.
bear sex scene? My entire life revolves around these things. That was actually a guy who transformed into a bear, and then he He transformed back into a guy, but then he was requested to transform back into the bear. And then they had sex. It's a completely different situation. I knew I should have long rested. Duh, I saved Scum. What the
Always
hell?
long
No.
rest when you can.
What is it?
Always long rest when you can. You know, if you feel like you need a long rest, you should be long resting.
Fair
Never
enough.
double
I
long
mean,
rest.
that's just like my number one rule for like games, like open world games, like Skyrim or whatever. My number one rule for that: always save. Always save.
Yeah. Always save in BG3 and always long rest if you feel like it, because you just never know when you're gonna piss someone off in the game. You just never fucking know, dude. It'll happen.
Oh, would you even ask me something like that? You're talking to a man who is unwavering, all right? I deal with my consequences, all right?
My man showed like
Manual
50
saves and all.
billion save files in this motherfucker too. That's
They actually don't say anything. You need to make sure, whether you're playing this on PC or PS5 or in the future Xbox, you have to limit the amount of times your game autosaves, because it will absolutely fill up your entire hard drive with autosaves, and you will have to manually delete all those autosaves.
that is a
It
major
sucks.
flaw right there.
Sucks, dude. And like, it will not stop until it fills up your hard drive. So if you got like a terabyte of space, you won't be deleting for a while.
You know it sucks, like games like this, like because Skyrim and Oblivion did the same thing, right? Where they have like 50 billion fucking auto saves, and it's just like you're going through these saves when you're going through, like, depending on what character you have, and it's just like, when did I save all these times? And you look and it's just like auto save. Like, I wish like more games like that would work on that.
Yeah. Be careful with your saves, because they stack up really quickly.
Yeah, I see that. He has like a list of them shits here.
Game.
Boy, that's just crazy.
All right, so that's that video, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of things that he's missing out on for explaining, but you know, it's his video. He's doing what he does, which is just a parody, right? We go from that. I'm not going to play the romance one because, I mean, it speaks for itself, right?
Yeah.
But then we go from that to this.
Guys, I wanted to take some time to thank today's sponsor, Factor.
We don't care about your sponsor.
Yeah,
Hold
we
on.
don't care about factors.
Oh boy,
We're not
I
giving
have
you
not
free
done-
ad revenue. Sorry, Keith.
Key. Oh boy, I have not done one of these in a while. It feels so good to be back.
So first off, he starts the video and he's playing Starfield, right? Or it appears he's played Starfield, right? Like, or am I crazy?
Yeah, that's Starfield.
Ladies and gentlemen, this year has been a smorgasbord of great games coming out. I probably didn't say that word correctly, but it's whatever. Well, look, we had Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 remake, Hogwarts Legacy, and the controversy behind that.
You know what the bad part is that even I forgot about Hogwarts Legacy. Like, it was
Completely forgot about it.
it was really easy to forget about that.
We had Baldur's Gate 3, aka the best game since Final Fantasy X. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What?
So,
Do we agree with that? That's a strong statement there.
Listen, I am a staunch Baldur's Gate defender here. It's an elite level game, but when you take an elite level game and I mean, obviously, I think it's the game of the year this year, personally. Elite level game. But once you have that, you start stacking it against other elite level games. You're talking about to its time period and the factor it had on that time period, and did it change gaming and all that. That's what he's trying to do right there, like with that statement. I don't know if that fits that.
I don't know if 10 changed shit. Besides the fact that
I think 10 changed, a lot. Like, I think 10 is really good for its storytelling. I think 10 is really good for its level up system. I think 10 has really learned how to tell compelling like stories and narratives and make gameplay look good in 3D, like graphics. But did it change an entire like genre? I don't know. That's a debatable
I would
topic,
argue.
right?
I would argue that Square Enix as a whole did that. They changed the way RPGs were felt. But the best game, like that's
Final Fantasy X. Like
it was good. Don't get me wrong.
He's saying it's like, so what is he saying here? Is he saying it's the best RPG or the best game? I actually missed what he said.
Hold on, let's go back.
Dead Space remake, Resident Evil 4 remake, Hogwarts.
I forgot about Dead Space too. That's really bad because Dead Space came out like
It was a good remake, man. It was a good remake. I mean, it's not going to win Game of the Year, obviously, but it's a good remake.
it was nowhere near what fucking Resident Evil 4 was, but I already knew that was gonna. I think we all knew that was gonna happen.
I'd be happy with that though. It was a level blow, and it was good. Really good.
Hogwarts Legacy and the controversy behind that. We had Baldur's Gate 3, aka the best game since Final Fantasy X. I'm sorry. I don't know if you've unsubscribed, blocked me for that, but whatever. That's
the best game since Final Fantasy X. What is he saying? I want to hear this.
Okay, so all right, let me compose myself here.
Because you know that's a bold ass statement to make. I mean, that's all. Listen, I'm not going to slight him for that because that's his opinion, right?
That's his opinion.
That's
He's basically saying that Final Fantasy X is the best game he's. So it's kind of a weird statement, right?
Yeah.
Because is he saying Final Fantasy X is the best game he's played and ever, or is he saying Final Fantasy X is the best game he's played since whatever before that, right? It's kind of whatever statement. And then so he's saying that no other game tipped the scale of that magnitude since then, like whatsoever, which I have a problem with because the way he's talking about Spider-Man 2 made me think that he had that much fun with Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't qualify as the best game he's played since Final Fantasy X.
That.
What part about Final Fantasy X made it like that? So there's no context to what he's saying here, right? Like where is your baseline of like, okay, you say that, cool, I respect your opinion, but like what is your opinion based on? Is your opinion based on a video or a set of guidelines that you had previously set, and that's why it's the best game you've ever played? Or is it just a straight opinion that you spouted off because, in the same video, he talks about how Cyberpunk is incredible.
Which I think we're about to come up on that, right? Let's see.
Yeah, it's gonna be this after this. It's like right here.
Game of the Year. So I love it. Final Fantasy 16 came out. Tears of the Kingdom, Mortal Kombat 1, and most recently Starfield.
Mortal Kombat. Actually, he got this part wrong.
Talk about Street Fighter at all?
I know. That's why I said that's why when I sent the message, I was like, pop quiz. Which games did he miss? Because he missed quite a few.
He missed Armored Core 6, Street Fighter 6, both 6s, by the way. This is very weird. He's a super huge fighting game fan. He didn't play Street Fighter 6.
That's another thing to account
odd.
for too when he makes such a bold statement, right? Because ultimately he's a fighting game type person, obviously, or else he wouldn't have made content on it before, right? So it's just really easy to get lost on that, on his points when it comes to that. So he got this part wrong, which I believe Mortal Kombat 1 actually came out after Starfield. Am I?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then
whether really weird.
Like
he's had maybe a couple of weeks with Mortal Kombat 1, but Starfield has been out before then. Baldur's Gate was out, depending on when you got it, right? If you're a PC player, Baldur's Gate was out like 2-3 months ago almost.
Yeah, so I just don't understand the timeline here.
And Cyberpunk.
Maybe he just missed it. I don't know.
Maybe, but all I know is that the Mortal Kombat 1 just came out, I think, like maybe a couple of weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, It just came out. It just came out in the scene.
Liberty. Crazy thing is, out of all these games I just said, Cyberpunk is like my second favorite game of the year. Right? I know. We'll get into that later. Because right now, I want to talk about the absolute juggernaut that is about to approach our atmosphere.
Why is this the juggernaut, though? Especially if you're saying Baldur's Gate is going to be game of the year. Why is this the juggernaut?
I don't know. Everything he says in this entire 5 minutes right here makes it not.
It feels off, right?
It just feels so off.
It
He starts off saying Final Fantasy X is the best game since Final Fantasy X that I played. Then apologizes for that. But then lists that Cyberpunk is the second favorite game of the year. But Cyberpunk came out 3 years ago. Did he play it 3 years ago? Or was this his first time playing it? Right? And does that skew his view on it? Like, how does that even... And he's also said he hasn't gone through the Phantom Liberty stuff, so he's just playing base Cyberpunk right now. He hasn't even gotten to Phantom Liberty, which is fine. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is very confusing because then there's everything he's saying is like there's no build to like the story of like why he's looking forward to certain things or why he holds this in such high regard. Like why is Spider-Man 2 the game for him? But he can't say Spider-Man 2 is the game, is going to be the juggernaut if he said Baldur's Gate is the winner of Game of the Year. He hasn't played it yet.
And then on the same end say that Cyberpunk is second game of the year? Which
he said it's the second favorite game. He didn't say it was the game of the year. But
he did.
That are making an argument for game of the year for Cyberpunk, which y'all are wrong. Point blank in the story. I'm sorry. I don't care what you want to say as an argument. Cyberpunk is nor will ever be game of the year. It doesn't deserve it. It had its chance 3 years ago. They flubbed the mission. I'm not saying that they didn't do a whole lot of work on the game. The game is incredible now. It's fantastic. To me, the game redeemed itself. I know you and I disagree on that. That's perfectly fine. But that game does not deserve game of the year. Get that out of here.
We are definitely going to have that conversation for sure. Because if there's one thing I know we disagree on is that.
To approach our atmosphere. Probably Sony's biggest and best exclusive to come out this year. I'm sorry.
It's one of their only exclusives to come out. What the fuck are we talking about here? Besides like Final Fantasy 16?
There's only Final Fantasy 16. That's the only other one.
That's what I'm saying.
The Foam Stars, right? Foam Stars.
Foam Stars is coming out this year?
I actually don't know. I keep hearing about it.
I've heard like demo play of it, but I didn't know it was coming out this year.
I don't actually know.
And I'm seeing like mixed reception on that. So
I heard some people were saying it's actually really trash. I don't know, man. I just live here. I live in this gaming universe, okay?
There's something wrong here.
Great, you were amazing. But I have a strong feeling Spider-Man 2 is going to be that golden boy for Sony this year. That slap your mama in the mouth.
It's the only game. It's the only game. Listen, Keith. And of course it's the golden boy. It's the only game that's coming out on fucking PlayStation, bro.
If there are any fanboys that come in, anybody, I want to know what games Sony has had in the last 10 years. Besides the big ones that you like to tout off, like God of War and The Last of Us, that's been sold like 1,000 times. Fucking Gran Turismo, which I don't know. You know what the bad part is, and I was thinking about this earlier today too. You know, for them to tout off that Gran Turismo is so great, and this is going to make me sound like an Xbox so bad, but for them to tout off Gran Turismo so much, why is it that why does Forza get more love?
Because it comes out consistently.
That's fair, huh? Because it's almost annual, isn't it? And in between, and in between is Horizons normally, right?
Yeah.
So they always have filler.
Forza is always in the area. Like, you're always gonna get Forza. So I mean, presence matters in this situation.
I think me and you disagree on this one too, though. Like Sony having all the games that they've had. Now, if you want to compare it to like Xbox, I think that you could make that comparison because they've definitely had more exclusive titles than Xbox for sure.
They have better exclusives on Xbox right now. I completely discounted that Nintendo like has the best, like the most and the best exclusives though. So they just do. I just forgot, like straight up, because that's what console wars will do to you.
Oh yeah, they'll make you forget everything around you. But Nintendo's been holding it down. But that's why I don't make the argument. The argument for PlayStation has all the games right against Nintendo, who has consistently come out with games even in 10 years, and nobody can argue that one. Because even on the Wii U, they were trying to push that Wii U for something fierce.
Oh, you.
You know, that I'll sell my first child type game.
Fuck no. I'll sell this game for my first child. What the fuck are you talking about?
I just don't understand the context, man. Maybe I'm just not that dude. I don't get it.
Listen, it's his opinion, right? He's entitled to that shit when it comes to that. But these are a lot of bold statements made in this in this video. And I kind of
should have never talked about Baldur's Gate then. Like, if this was the way he was going to come in.
This should have just been a Spider-Man video.
Yeah, I was about to say that. This is a very misleading video, right? Like, straight up, like, he should have just made this a Spider-Man video. This should have just been a Spider-Man hype video. This doesn't need to have. It feels like he's trying to basically justify why he's all about Spider-Man right now by saying, "Oh, but I played Baldur's Gate. Oh, but I played Cyberpunk. Oh, but I played Mortal Kombat." Okay, cool, but you're still making a lot of statements that just don't make any sense, man. Like, the fuck.
You know what I think, and because he made the statement clear, like obviously he enjoys playing PlayStation more than he does anything else, right? It doesn't mean that he doesn't enjoy everything else. It just means PlayStation is more so his preferred place to play. I think the problem that we have here, and I think the problem that we have with this is that now that we know that just makes this worse, because before I didn't know where he stood before, and it's really important to know where somebody's saying. I know it doesn't seem like it should be important, but it really is important to know where somebody stands, so that like when they start making certain statements, like you can just avoid them altogether, right? Because like at the end of the day, like fanboys make shit look really bad. Do we at least agree on that?
Yeah, we agree on that. He's actually making this look a lot worse.
This looks really bad, right? Because this is everything that he's saying here is what Sony heads utter constantly.
So let's see what he does here. Let's see what he says.
He just tweeted again too. Hold on.
Oh fuck.
Let's see what he says.
Put the Twitter down, Keith. Jesus Christ.
Okay, I took the time to mute all of the Xbox and PlayStation loyalists that y'all show me. Will I finally be out of that vortex? Please, God, tell me I'm out. Well, you put yourself there, unfortunately. So I don't know what to tell you, man. But everything that he's saying here is everything that Sony ponies are uttering. And
he already did the thing, right? Pretend I already got him on site. Like that's the problem now. Is like he's now he's not caught up in a bunch of thought miner content. Ratinga and all of the thought miners are going to be basically profiting off him for a little while because he's just accidentally jumped into that for whatever reason.
And he didn't have any business doing it, right? Because he
no business.
He only did it because Starfield came out, and then Baldur's Gate, like for PlayStation 5, like shortly afterwards, right? Like that's around that timeline makes sense, right? Why though? When you are a perfectly normal human being that just makes funny fucking content and enjoys fucking video games, right?
That's the weird part about this whole thing, is that it feels like he was a respectable member of the content creator community, right? But like, it just feels like he's just jumping into a fight that he never needed to be a part of in the first place. Like, this is just not something he does ever. I've never seen Keith I've seen him be vocal, but I've never seen him take on content creators. And then like, you can tell he's not used to it because he's not really engaging with them after a certain point. He's just
because
he says one thing and he doesn't engage.
Exactly, because if somebody told me, like I said, if we're having the conversation that he had with Fertango, where Fertango was trying to tell him that PlayStation heads do the same thing, it's like, if you tell me that and I've never seen it, then I'm going to look for it. And then we'll come back and have the actual conversation, and probably not in the post, right? It'll probably be in the message. It'll probably be in the messenger. He just tweeted again. Please just tell me my algorithm is finally free. Like, dude, you put yourself there. Anyway,
I don't understand what he's trying to do, because he put himself into this.
He really did, and it's just like,
He
and
put himself into this.
it's all caps, mind you. But
Yeah, that right there is the Fertanga effect. Like,
for this Fratanga, like I looked at some of his tweets and I'm just like, holy fuck, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing trying to take this dude on?
Like, that's all he does. Like, but you just don't want to get caught in that web. Like, you just don't want to get caught in it, because you're gonna be in the spin cycle for a while.
You want to know something? You want to know something that's funny? All the salt miners seem to have the facts ready in front of them, so that when they're salt mining somebody, the people that they're salt mining are ultimately never prepared for it. Like,
I mean,
never.
Like, they know what they're talking about. Like, it's just still, you just don't want to get caught in that. Like,
but I'm saying it's like salt miners know what the fuck to do to get it. Like, they have the information ready and handy, and it doesn't matter whether you know what you're talking about or not. If you're not ready for that, then you probably shouldn't make that encounter, because they are
They shouldn't have did that, bro.
And it never fails at all. It never fails. I've seen this time and time again on the internet. Like, it's crazy how prepared they actually are. Like, they wake up in the morning with salt in their eyes, and they're just like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yeah,
Grabs.
So, like, now the thing is that Keith is tagged as a Sony pony now, right? Like a Sony pony extremist. He's not going to take that off for a while, right? Like, whether it's true or not, I agree.
And the truth of the matter is, he's done videos on other stuff too, not just Sony stuff. He's done it on Xbox. Like, it just doesn't make sense. So here we go. This is the golden boy that's supposed to make you sell your children, apparently.
Cure cancer and in-world hunger type game.
And apparently cure world hunger. Like, are you kidding me? Tell me this is a troll video.
What is he saying? What is happening? What is actually happening, Tom? Baldur's Gate is my favorite game of this year. This game is gonna cure cancer and beat the golden boy. What do those two things in the same sentence make any goddamn sense?
No, because they contradict themselves. That's why.
Right? You would think it's the same.
But
game.
again, this is the same thing that Sony fanboys will tout. They tout this same rhetoric, and then you wonder why Xbox fanboys do the same thing, because they've been waiting. Let's be honest, that Xbox fanboys have been waiting for Starfield to come out. Like their balls have been itching to get Starfield, right? So that when it comes out, that's a win for them. They said, even if you watch anybody that's an Xbox fanboy, they said, fuck Redfall. You can't hold Redfall to the same degree as Starfield, and that's just not true. That is absolutely not true. if anything, I would look at Bethesda funny because of how Starfield released. And I would be extremely iffy about Starfield.
I mean, that's fair. I don't think it's an unfair statement there.
I don't think that's like, I think that's something that a normal person would think, right? Isn't that normal? Like,
No, like I definitely, like when I was waiting for Starfield, I definitely had that thing that I had like, well, if this game isn't, if this game isn't good, right? And what happens then? Which, luckily for me, the game was good for what I wanted it to be, but like for other people, it wasn't. That's just the fact of the matter. But I don't blame anyone for looking at them sideways, like, I don't know, like
because you should. We do it with everything else though, right? We've done it with third-party titles plenty of times. We do it with EA. EA's the easiest one to do it with. Ubisoft too. So what
fuck it up.
Ubisoft and EA, like, they go hand in hand. So ultimately my question is this, like, well, where's our logic at here? Because ultimately, if a company burns you, if you go shopping anywhere else and a company basically fucks you over, you're not going to want to go back there again.
No.
So these are just some of the this is just some of the rhetoric that both sides tout, and it's just so amazing to me that neither side can see past their own fucking feet. But back to the game,
at least have a good discussion about it.
Yeah, at least that. But back to the game that'll cure cancer and stop world hunger.
Glad that Spider-Man 2. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, hey, good news, love. Spider-Man 2 is going to cure cancer, apparently.
Yeah, apparently, right?
Spider-Man 2 is going to be amazing. Spider-Man 2 is right around the corner, and besides taking on 19 inches of venom, hey, their words, not mine. You can also take on some crazy.
You might as well take on 19 inches of venom with how you're talking about Spider-Man right now. Like, you might as well bend that ass over and just bend over, because that's what you sound like.
I think Keith is going to have to deactivate his fucking account. I'm Spider-Man.
Well, the funny thing is, while we were talking, like, he tweeted again saying that the people that I was told to block blocked him, and saying that he's not the villain. Like, you may not be the villain, but you definitely are the victim for sure. You're the victim of attempting to be a villain. And maybe not even that. Who knows?
Yes, new powers and mobility. And I, for one, can't wait. Now, I'm going to be upfront with you guys, okay? A lot of news have been sent to my doorstep. Some that the public ain't even got.
All right, where is he getting his news from? That's the question.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm saying. Hey, I don't put it past him. After half of the comments that he's made over the past couple of weeks, I don't put it past him. And I didn't even... possibly. But my opinions shift on Young from time to time. I don't know where he stands.
He's a voice actor in the industry, so...
Yeah, I mean, he's a voice actor, period. Just like, so it's just like... I would expect that he has like a neutral take on things, right? But if you follow Dreamcast guy, like, I'm questioning where you're getting your information from, because that guy is not a reliable source at all.
No.
And I've declined it all. You want to know why? Because I want to go into this game completely blind. Completely blind. I saw one.
Says that as he has a he says he wants to go in completely blind, but has watched like the two trailers. Like, if I'm going in completely blind, I don't even want to see the trailers, right? Or am I crazy? Maybe I'm just crazy.
I mean, completely blind means you're not seeing anything. So if you watch the trailer, you're not completely blind.
I thought about two trailers, right? The big one that they showed at E3, I think it was E3, and then the most recent.
My dude, E3 died this year. What the fuck are you talking about? I miss this
maybe
part.
move the state of play, or I'm not sure. Maybe there was one at E3, the last one. Maybe he meant Summer Game Festival. No, it can't be Summer Game Festival because Sony.
Because they never showed that the last E3 that they had, they never showed the trailer for this. They only showed like a and it wasn't even an E3. It was a summer. It was kind of like a Summer's Game Fest.
State of play. It is state of play, I think.
Yeah, it was a state of play like 2-3 years ago, I think. No, it was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. And they showed and they showed like a teaser for it. Like with Miles Morales and Peter Parker fighting Venom, and then they went Spider-Man 2. And then they showed Wolverine like right after that. Another teaser, which I don't know when that game is coming out.
One.
Year 2027.
The next generation of consoles.
PlayStation 6, bro. Got it.
Other than that, guys,
That's terrible. If you have your game stretched out that damn far, you might as well just call it quits.
I've just been declining seeing it. I don't usually do that, but when it comes to Spider-Man, I really get immersed in it. Just like with Batman Arkham series, I really get immersed with the characters and the story and just being Spider-Man or being Batman. I hate to sound like,
Which is an interesting comparison, right?
So is Keith? Does Keith just really love superheroes? Like, is that what this is?
Because if that's the case, then Batman should have won Game of the Year like ages ago. And that's how people should have been talking about Batman.
Excited about God, what is it called? The new Arkham, not Suicide Squad one, the one that just came out.
Oh, the one with Robin or
Knights or whatever.
the one with Nightwing or whatever.
Yeah. He was super excited about that.
Okay.
like IGN.
So
but
maybe
it's-
he really does like superhero movies or games and stuff.
That doesn't take away the fact that this is supposed to be the juggernaut for this year, though.
Yeah, see, he's not really giving any context. Is like I said, is it personal juggernaut or is it the juggernaut?
You know,
he's talking about it's the juggernaut. He said Sony's juggernaut.
the more we listen to this and the more I think about when I first heard this, I'm just like, holy shit, does he have any context at all? Does he even know what the context of his conversation
I
is?
actually don't think he knows what he's talking. I don't even think he understands what he's actually fucking saying.
I think this is just one of his bad videos. Like, this is really just... I think
Well,
this...
he shouldn't have made this video. I think what really happened here, we can probably talk about it a little more too, like later. I think what really happened is he made this video in response to what was going on Twitter, and rather than like make a video taking any kind of stance addressing that or whatever, he just made a video trying to include all the games. But then he ended up filling for Spider-Man even more because he's super excited about Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and then completely lost track of what the hell he's talking about. Like.
I mean, because
Completely.
everything that he said, most of the things, there were some things I agreed with. There are a lot of games that came out, but there are some things like when I listen to him, he's just like inaccurate about, and it's just like, if you're gonna step on Twitter and have these conversations, you better have your accuracy right, because somebody like Fratanga could take this video and clip this shit and use it directly against you.
If you follow Fratanga, he's already taken a bunch of his stuff and clipping it and making a video. It's supposed to be out in the next 24 hours, so
Holy
he's about
shit.
to have a real good time, bro.
Yeah, no kidding, because whatever is happening in this video, like, man, this is really bad. And you wouldn't think it would be that bad because it just seems really harmless, right? Until like you look at the timelines and you're like, oh wait, that's not right. E3, wait, that didn't happen this year. Like you look at little details like that, and you look at people.
He's gonna get him for that too.
Oh yeah, so
Yeah.
you look at the little details, and those little details are enough to make you look a certain way.
fun, right? So, and I don't want anything to really ruin that. I think they've been showing a lot with Lizard, and I don't know, maybe it's just not the big part of the story or whatnot. Maybe it's a very small part of the story. But I was like, man, this is stuff I don't want to know about. But so I decided, no, I'm good. I'm shutting myself off from it. I do know some stuff, of course, like
About the
But
new
other than
games,
that, dude,
all the stuff they added.
the mobility looks crazy. I saw that. There's 65 unique outfits apparently. I saw that, and that's all I care about. I'm going in. Right.
65 unique outfits.
Okay. Let's talk about this real quick.
Yes.
There's 65 unique outfits. How do you think you're getting those?
Through the side quests. Through the multiple side quests that are all the same.
I'm telling you right now, 15 of those fucking costumes are going to be fucking live service paid.
Oh, that's right, because that's a whole nother story too, right?
The game even says includes live purchases on the case. Look at the case. It says it right there.
I don't think he's one that's against microtransactions, though.
I'm not saying that he is or he isn't. I'm just saying nobody is talking about this. Don't be surprised when you got to open your wallet for a bunch of costumes. That's all I'm saying.
That's true. That is very true.
When it happens. All right.
But he's an example of somebody that will probably spend money on things that he deems is worth it to him, which is, he should do that. Ultimately, he should do that. But with how it looks, how he's talking, like it's the optics, right? It's the optics of, you look like a fanboy. You look like like PlayStation will put out shit and you probably purchase it and say it was good.
Yeah. Is he going to have the same energy though if they tell him there's 65 suits, but 50 of them are suits you can earn and the other 15 you have to pay for?
I could have swore
the same energy?
I could have swore there were the same amount in the last one. Am I wrong?
I don't actually know. I mean,
there was a shit ton.
Like, they had a bunch of suits in the last one too.
They had a shit ton of fucking suits in the last one. If they have 65 suits, I'm gonna assume that they're split between the two characters and that you're doing separate missions and certain suits and all of this shit. And I'm just kind of like, it sounds like it would be really hard to explain to somebody like a fanboy. And it seems like it's going to be hard to explain to him, like, why it seems like it's the same game, right? Because I've heard the same argument from RGT85 where he said, oh, this isn't going to be the same game. They've added a whole new burrow. And it's just like, wait a minute. The burrows, it isn't why this is the same game. At least not when I look at it. To me, it just looks like it's going to be the same fucking thing, the same kind of game that it was the last time, where you're swinging through the city, you do side quests, you got a different story, all of that.
It's the same game with a different story, man.
Yeah.
Really.
That's what I'm saying. Like, where's the juggernaut in that? That's just like,
why can't we admit that? Right. God of War Ragnarok was the same game with a different story and new moves.
Like,
it's fine. Okay.
Listen, Spider-Man isn't going to have the same impact that Starfield did. And Starfield didn't even have the impact for the reason that people think it did. Like, Starfield impacted how we look at how games are rated and how we talk about video games. That's what it did. That's what it's supposed to do. So if you pull some stupid shit, if they pull some stupid shit out of their ass to make like headlines of some sort, you're only going to be confirming what Starfield has actually done, which is get y'all riled up, get the industry all riled up at once.
Right, I'm expecting this game to get anywhere from 88 to 94 on Metacritic. I say 88 because
this right here. I can't stand this. I can't fucking stand this. I'm expecting it to get 84 to 90. Whatever. Get out. Stop it. Just say I'm expecting the game to be great. Don't put a number score. Don't do that. Don't do that. You're already implying to all your followers what the game is going to be. You already know all those guys are going to review bomb up or down or all around or wherever, whatever they're going to do. You already have people on an IGN podcast saying if this game gets less than 9, they need to talk to the guy that reviewed it, which is totally unprofessional, by the way. Completely unprofessional. for a coworker to call out another coworker on a live podcast and tell them basically, you better give it a 9 is fucked up. Beyond.
What is that podcast called again?
Podcast Beyond.
Podcast
it's
Beyond.
in a chat somewhere. I don't even remember where, how far back it is, but it just the whole I expect us to have an just let it be a good game.
You know what?
So what happens if it's not?
This is how we allow games media to make the rules, right? When we start talking about the number system. If we ignore the number system altogether and just I think that if we ignore the number system altogether, our conversations are way different after that.
Because we would talk about the actual game instead of a fucking number. That's all that people see right now. It's a number. I'm gonna tell you right now, Spider-Man 2 is probably gonna get a 90, and it's not gonna be a better game than fucking half the games that came out this year. Probably. That got less than a 90. It's just not. And it's not because it won't be great. It'll be because it's the same game, right? From all I've seen, I haven't played it, but I can probably make a decent guess that it's going to be the same gameplay style with a new story. Unless that story is just transformative at this point, which I don't really see how, because we have a million Spider-Man comics that we've all read.
Mm-hmm.
We've had a million Marvel movies that we've all seen. So what are they going to change that's going to make this? Also, I feel really bad for Insomniac because
they're taking the brunt of this.
Is a rock in a hard place, bro.
They're taking the brunt of this. Not only are they stuck in the middle of a system that they probably disagree with, the whole live action thing, live service thing, but then they have Wolverine expected, and then you have a bunch of Sony fans that are expecting them to drop fire, and they're just trying to make a good game that everybody that wants to play it can play. And that's kind of, I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to kind of make the point too that it's really bad that a lot of this falls on the devs whenever we start talking, because then we have so many avenues to actually go at the devs themselves, and then we're so spoiled with our entertainment, with what we want to be entertained with, and we forget that they're people too.
Yep. So when this game fizzles out in a month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who's that going to be on? It's going to be on the devs.
However,
this is what's ordered.
However, I cannot avert smoke and fire for Insomniac either, because they are a part of that entity. So I can't just let that go either.
87 or
Yeah,
something, and I can only imagine this being better than the original. So I'm assuming this is going to be a huge hitter, and probably a lot of. Now this is going to strike a sour spot with some people, because a lot of guys and gals were burnt over Cyberpunk 2077.
I think this is where this is where the video takes the turn for the worst.
Launch, there's a lot of things that the developers promised that weren't given to them, and the game came out in a horrible state for PS4 and Xbox One. But it has been 3 years and a lot of patches, and the 2.0 patch just released, and a few days later.
Okay, let's get into it. I can't, because this is where I disagree. This is where we disagree heavily, right? Because of all of the work that they had to do in 3 years' time that should have taken until the launch, right? That's where I say I cannot look at this game as redeemed when it took that long for it to be redeemable. And then look at games like Destiny, which didn't come out as the actual game until Destiny 2. And then look at Rainbow Six Siege, which was an underdog for a while, right? But that game has been nominated on several different occasions as the longest running game. Best ongoing. It's been for best live service, I think it was. I think that's a category. Best live service. It's been in the nomination several times, but that's an underdog tale right there. And then have the nerve to get mad at a game that is incomplete, but then go back and praise it? I'm sorry. Even though it had the story, because we both agree on that, it had the story and it was decent. If you could get past all the glitches, it was a good story, right? However, if it has the glitches and you go gold, I count that as incomplete. Or am I crazy for that?
Yeah, you're not crazy. The game was super incomplete when it came out. I don't agree with you there. Like, Cyberpunk, when it came out, was hot garbage. Right? I enjoyed the game, basically firmly on story and story alone, because that was the only thing pushing me through that. But I agree. That game was really incomplete when it came out. But I definitely look at a lot of games in the same space, right? Like Anthem's a really good example. That game was really hot garbage.
Listen, if you didn't look at that trailer and see something was wrong and off about that, like, I don't know what to tell you. Because I looked at that game, it looked really bad.
You're talking about for Anthem?
Yes.
Oh, I don't even remember the Anthem trailer.
And I remember the Anthem trailer. I remember we had this conversation at Geeks of the Peaks, and y'all fucking tried to crush me on that shit. And I'm just like, wait. So you mean to tell me you can't look at a trailer and see something is off? Like, there's no way you can't.
Oh, you were right for Anthem. You're definitely right for Anthem.
But it's the same thing that I saw when I looked at Spider-Man 2, and that was a lot of the things that people were uttering. It looks like the same fucking game.
That's what Spider-Man 2 is.
Which is the same fucking game.
Again, we haven't played it, but it looks like the same fucking game.
But when Cyberpunk had flipped us for a loop. They played us for a loop because we didn't know what we were going to get with Cyberpunk. We thought we were going to get this extravagant game. They brought out Keanu Reeves, because Keanu Reeves is like that dude. They brought out Keanu Reeves, and he had his moment where he's like, "You're amazing," and all this shit. And then the game came out, and it wasn't amazing in the ways that it should have been, anyway.
No, but I still think. Listen, if you're gonna, they fucked up. They know that. They absolutely know that they fucked up. And regardless, they still spent 3 years fixing that game. They didn't need to do that. They should have. I mean, I guess technically you could say they actually did need to, out of like a code of ethics. But
no, they definitely.
Really fly in the game space, honestly.
They definitely. Do you know why they definitely needed to do that? Because if they're gonna, well, no. Because if they're gonna sell their next title, their next big title, they need to show that kind of effort.
Big companies do that all the time.
Really?
CD Projekt Red. It definitely would have hurt them a little more, I'm sure. But game companies like EA and stuff do that all the time. Well, this game's incomplete, but guess we'll get them next time.
Let me ask you this though. Where is the talk of EA right now? What is EA looking like right now? Because I don't hear shit about fucking EA right now.
They made Dead Space, and they made
cute.
Jedi Survivor, which by the way wasn't super. I mean, it's good, but it didn't come out super great. And
cute
performance wise.
Cute. Why did we forget about it then?
Because it's not worth talking about them.
Well, no. Listen, if Dead Space is supposed to be really good, why is it still not in the conversations?
No, I mean, like, it's not worth talking about them because they done fucked it up too much.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. CDPR had to do that so they didn't suffer that horrible fucking wreck of EA. They have to do that kind of stuff.
I would say yes, but I would also say that maybe they could have thought they could have got away with it. It's really all based on their like personal developer code of ethics, right? Like if they really felt like we can't let this happen.
CDPR can't get away with it though. Do you know why? Because The Witcher 3 put them in such a fucking hype zone. So they really can't get away with it. Especially when you have everything else around you failing, if you're that type of person anyway, and you think every other company is failing you, and that's the person that you seek, that's the company that you seek to put your hopes in, like, you can't fuck up. You can't afford to fuck up because you're too much on a pedestal now.
Well, don't do what your publisher tells you to do. Just kidding.
Well, and not only that, but people on Twitter need to shut the fuck up too. Because that was a big part of it too. We're not going to just sit there and skate over and say that wasn't, because that was a huge part. When you get death threats because your game is getting pushed back, come on now.
Yeah, that whole scenario.
That was absolutely uncalled for.
No, you can't do things like that and expect to get. I mean, there's gonna be bad shit that happens to anybody. Like, developers are gonna be scared for their lives. They may not even want to work on the game that much anymore. A lot of shit can happen for them. I'm not saying that they completely tank the game because we can't say that. But we can say, like, it's going to have an effect on them, for sure. I think that we should definitely at least, I don't want to say be thankful because that's not the right word here. We should at least recognize that they fixed this game to a state that definitely is way better, or at least better than what it was. Like, and that's why, like, for me, for a personal thing, for me, they personally redeemed that game to me from where it was. But a lot of people aren't going to forgive that game or CD Projekt Red. That's fine. That's perfectly okay, right? Like, I'm not asking you to. I totally get it. They probably totally get it too.
Well, it's, if you want to see another CDPR game, then man, like, that's something that I look at too as a cause for concern. Like, it took you this long to get this game. Yeah, it did, but it doesn't redeem you for anything, because what are you going to do with the next title? This is still this title. What happens with the next? We've seen that with Ubisoft especially too, right? Because they fucked up on several occasions.
Oh, God.
And where are they at now?
They are making, for me, one good game a year. Mario plus Rabbids.
Off the subject, I didn't realize that Mirage was coming out in 2 days, and I have that pre-ordered to play.
I fucking know. Holy shit. I didn't know that.
It's 2 days.
It's good.
You know what's bad? It's because I've been so wrapped up in Lies of P that I haven't even thought about anything else. And I got that on pre-order. I got Alan Wake on pre-order.
Lies of P.
I think I have a couple more titles on pre-order. Like, I went ham this year on the pre-orders, and then not to mention whatever Nintendo has coming out. Like, holy shit, man! Like, this is a lot. But there's just a lot. Like, back to CDPR. Like, I think it's really important to look at where they were, where they're at now, and where they're headed. Because at the end of the day, if we allow them to get off of the hook so easily, what is going to happen with the next game?
I don't think they're off the hook. I do think that they fixed that game though.
But what does it mean to be redeemed then? Because then that's a whole separate conversation.
The game means redeemed. It's a redeemed game. It works. It fixed. I'm excited to play the game again after I get through Baldur's Gate, which is going to be a while. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to look at him side like, are you going to mess up again?
See, but then to me, like, Maybe I'm just crazy, but like to me, if I look at your game and say redeemed, then therefore your company is redeemed too,
Yeah.
because you
Then
made
maybe
it.
it just means it needs to be more time. Maybe that's all it is. I guess that for everyone it's a little bit different, right?
Yeah.
We might have to do a part 2, bro. It's already 11:30. Did you know that?
Oh yeah.
We might have to do a part 2.
We might have to.
We might need to do a part 3, bro.
Do we want to continue with this video? I feel like if we just do that,
Yeah,
we're
let's
leaving
go.
on a cliffhanger.
Finish the video because the video is almost over, and then we'll end it. 'Cause, like, I didn't realize it was 11:30.
I personally want to say it's some of the most fun I've ever had playing a video game. I did not expect myself to truly be enamored with these companions, with this world, with the story. And this is all before I even got into Phantom Liberty. I haven't even done that yet.
But Spider-Man is the juggernaut.
Because I
Spider-Man
specifically
can't say
waited
that.
to
It's gonna cure cancer and make you sell your children.
finish all
Yeah,
of the
and
main
don't
quests.
forget
and
Baldur's
the-
Gate.
the
was
Oh yeah. I mean, what did Baldur's Gate do then? Create all the problems? Like fuck.
Steal all the babies.
companion quest. I'm on the last one with Hanako. For those who've played the game, I'm at the point of no return. Now I'm gonna go and do the Phantom Liberty. I've done all the quests, and still the River Ward side quest get.
Have you done all the quests that this game has to offer though?
No.
There's no fucking way you did every single side quest. Because even the side quests, if I remember correctly, have something to do with the main quest too.
Gets me, man, with his nephew. It's just so gripping. Like, I love this game. They have fixed pretty much everything. The gigs are streamlined better, the crafting is better, the perk tree is better, the cop system is better, the performance is better, the gameplay is better, everything. The looting is better. It's just, everything is amazing now. It's pretty much what it should have been 3 years ago. Now, whether you accept that or not, whether you're one of those people that's like, no, you burned me once, I'm not going back in there. Hey, that's understandable. For me, I already own the game, so I was like,
That is understandable. I own it on Xbox, and I haven't really wanted to touch my Xbox in a while. So hey, there's that.
There you go.
Hey, except for Starfield got me to touch my Xbox again. And it's kind of disappointing too, just on the side note, because I really wanted to try and get with the main character, and I was really close to doing it too. But she's like,
Oh, you're good.
I was really close to getting with the main character, or the chick that you travel with most of the time. I wanted to see where that went, but hey.
well, why not? 2.0 is a free update. Why not? Right? And then, Phantom Liberty was just another, icing on the top. But yeah, man, that game, to me, it was amazing. I heard nothing but good stuff about Phantom Liberty, and I cannot wait to get into it. Unfortunately, for some sour.
Isn't Phantom Liberty already out by now?
Yeah, it's out. It's
Okay.
like $19 or something like that.
Okay, so he's probably just waiting to pick it up then.
News
I think
tonight.
he has it, and he just hasn't gotten to the content.
Fair enough.
That this is the segment of sour news. The Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is supposed to launch late October, and fans, including me, went crazy when we first heard about this. But now it's a bunch of meh.
Not really, because you're reliving everything, even in the graphical context. So I mean that's subjective.
Yeah, we're finished.
But why? Why is it?
Yeah.
meh? Well, because apparently the remaster, right? Remaster of a PS1 and PS2 game can only be visualized in 1080p at 30 FPS on next-gen hardware. I believe.
Does the Baldur's Gate run on 30 FPS?
Yes.
So then what the fuck are we? Never mind.
It can get up to 60 FPS on the PS5 and whatnot, but the resolution is still subpar. There is no reason these games shouldn't be 8K 150 billion FPS. These are games that were made 20 years ago.
Thoughts?
I think it's just a literal port. I think it's just a port. I don't think they're remastering anything. And these games aren't even going to be able
I can't believe that's still a conversation too, by the way.
to hit
4K. Not even 1440p. Really? This is insanity. We don't know what's going on over there, but no bueno.
Do we need these games to be that high on resolution? Do you think so?
Not if it's like an actual remaster. Yes and no, right?
Yeah.
It'd be nice, but it depends on the price and everyone's personal value. That's for sure. I'd like it to be, but
Yeah, this is going to be another conversation for another day, too. Whether or not fucking resolution actually fucking matters in the industry and why it's so fucking talked about.
The year for our RPG fans, we got Super Mario RPG, Persona 5 Tactica, Dragon Quest Monsters, aka Dragon Quest Pokemon, a Star Ocean Second Story remake, and I, for one, am getting all of them. Now, will I have time to play all of them? No. Is it smart to get them all then? No. Will it help my quality of life by increasing my serotonin levels in the brain? Maybe. Probably no. It's been a very good year for gaming, and it looks like it will end strong for RPG fans. But tell me, what do you guys think? What do you guys think about the year so far, and what games have you liked so far, and what's your most favorite that you've played? And what are you looking for in the future? Because I know first quarter of...
It's crazy. He skipped over Wonder.
yes, he did.
Why?
That's not an RPG.
You gotta be joking me. Why? But you're in this for the video games. If that's the case, then Spider-Man's not really an RPG. Or is it?
Don't reforge the game, man, when you talk about it later.
I don't know, man. Oh, I don't know. This is a little out of touch for him. I didn't expect us to like stay on Mighty Keith like all night.
Yeah, we should know better.
Yeah, I mean, for something so simple too, like it's really there was a lot to break down, in that aspect. I think in a sense though, we kind of covered some of the stuff that we had to talk about too.
Yeah,
Like we managed to knock out like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 things at once in one conversation while simultaneously talking about Mighty Keith's Twitter tirades. So
not bad.
not bad at all. I
Maybe
mean,
it'll take us a little longer.
fuck it.
Jesus.
Why not, man? Like fuck it. We've got most of the job done, and I think like it's probably good to do. I think it's good to cut it here.
Yeah, we
Cause
probably should.
yeah, let's go ahead and cut it here.
We'll cut it here. We'll make a part 2 of this. Though. It was fun. It was good to actually do that.
Oh yeah. Wait, my mic is doing it again? Are you saying my mic is doing it again? Sorry I didn't get to the chats either. Like we're kind of having a conversation. We'll try and involve you all a little bit more next time.
For sure.
Is my mic going?
I can hear it. It's fine.
I'm talking to Black Raven in the chat. Are you gonna tell me? Yeah, it's both you and Roxas. Okay,
Oh, God.
then yeah, we'll cut it here. It's best. Yeah, we'll cut it while we're in the robotics.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Talk to you later.
And to you all, thank you all for joining us on our craziness journey talk of games. We will see you all later. You all have a good night or day, depending on where you are. And we'll see you later.